A Unity TV production. Brought to you by Everyone's Place. Kwanzaa Lecture based on the Principle of NIA and book signing by Tony Browder.
Mid-80s, you know. I think this is my second time introducing Brother Tony. The first time I introduced him is somewhere in the mid-80s. So what happened is that a lot of community organizations, and some of the older heads in Baltimore will know about this, you know, because they were there, you know. But it had different organizations used to bring to our scholars to the community, you know. Park Street Academy. Anybody remember Park Street Academy? See what I'm saying? So people like the History Club, Mama Lola, and them used to bring to a lot of scholars, you know. So you could come right on Park Heights or on McCullough Street and you see Dr. Ben, you see Ivan Van Sertimer, you see Dr. Clark, right on Park Heights, you know, right when you go, right? Wow. You see Ishaka Musa, Barashango, Dr. Welshing, Neely Fuller, I don't remember the brother who dealt with reparations. What was his name? He was right from Washington, D.C. Anybody? His name might come to me, but yeah, he did a lot of serious stuff. So you can... Huh? No, not Claude Anderson. Before Claude Anderson. Brock, I think Brock was his last name, you know? But yeah, so this was like in the late 70s, early, mid to 80s, you know? But one of the youngest brothers who used to come and lecture there was Tony Browder, you know. So we were in school at that time. I think Ori Shabazz, are you here? Yeah, you see? So Ori will testify to the truth of this, right? But and Tabia, she could testify to the truth of this. Tony forget it, so don't worry about Tony, leave him alone, but he don't remember this, right? So we wanted to bring some lecturers to the school where we were, you know. And I said Tony Browder. You know, you have to bring Tony Browder. So the students were like, Tony Browder, who is he? What you talk about, you know? They're like, look, this brother thought for a minute, and he was like, I'm working on something new. You know, I want to come and do something different. And I was like, after I convinced these students for so long that Tony gonna come and talk on ancient chemistry, he want to do something different, something new, you know? But anyhow, by the time he left, he had both blown and built the mind of the students, you know. And I remember his two things specifically he dealt with, you know. One was he dealt with advertising and subliminal seduction in advertising, you know. That was a bad piece. A lot of students never thought about advertising, the way it affects them psychologically in that way, you know. And the second piece he dealt with was art. Tony, where you? I'm talking, making up time for you, you know. Yeah, the second piece he dealt with was art. I have a friend who teaches at Wellesley College up in the Heartless Society. And Tony juxtaposed them against black singers who were singing on man. You see the heart, you see the soul, you see the spirit, you see everything coming out, you know? So I thank Tony for that. Tony, you ready? Yeah, come on up, man. I thank Tony for that, you know? So yeah, like and what I thank Tony Browder for is when he, even though he think the first time he met us was in 89, you know, when he came out with Browder Pad, but we could testify different to that, Javier could testify different to that, it was like 5 years before that. Tony don't remember, he been through a lot, you know, so don't blame him, right? Leave him alone, right? But, you know, when we have a brother like Tony Browder here, you know, it's a real humbling experience, you know. My heart really got, you know. I ain't shedding no tears in my eyes, but my heart shedding tears, you know. That's how much I think of Tony, you know. And the fact that he listened to his book, Browder Files, the third volume, that he called and he said, everyone's place, I want to do this first signing with you, you know. That's a beautiful thing, you know. So definitely put your hands together, Brother Tony Browder.
right, so before Nati leaves, let me embarrass him. I don't remember the event that he was just telling you about. I don't. But what I do remember was that when I first published the Browder File in 1989, Nati was with me from day one.
That's right.
Nati is the largest distributor of black books on the East Coast. And this brother is true to his word. He's hardworking. He's dependable. He's there. He is rock solid. So I'm always honored and pleased to do whatever I can for him because he loves you more than you ever know. And I love him. And this is why we're still here. And ultimately, this is why we're going to win. Because nobody can stop what we have. And when we know it, when we live it, when we express it, and when we work in partnership with sisters and brothers who also embody that reality, we create a force which is unstoppable. And these times are now reminding us that it is time for us to start stepping up and doing the things that we were born here to do. So I was a little worried when I got here at 5:30 because there's only about 6 or 7 people here. But I want to thank Baltimore for showing up, and I want to thank Nati for filling up the house. So thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I also want to thank, y'all don't mind if I don't stand at the podium because it's so restricted. I also want to thank the Prince Hall Masonic Lodge for making the space available. I was here a couple of years ago to do it. Yeah, give me a hand. I was here a couple of years ago to do a presentation, and I stressed to the brothers that it's important for us to understand that we're all in this together. No matter what our affiliation may be, we're all in this together. And it's important that we put aside our ideological differences or our philosophical differences and look at the essence of who we are. And that unites us. We build on that. And again, once we come together based on the essence of who we are and what we have always brought to the world, we change it. So it's time for us to live up to our authentic selves and stop trying to be something that we can never be. So with that said, I want to spend a little time talking about the new book, and depending on, I want to look to Nati to give me my cue and tell me when to shut up, because we're here to do 2 things, to have a feast and to also buy some books so I can sign some books, right? So this book, Browder File Volume 3, is the 3rd installment in the Browder File trilogy. And I can't believe it, but it's been 30 years since I published a serious book. 30 years. My last serious book was from the Browder File Volume 2, Survival Strategies for Africans in America, 13 Steps to Success. Time flies. Time waits for no one. We do not have time to waste. So this book comes out at a time where I'm now an elder, a time now where I know very clearly I have more days behind me than I have ahead of me. And now that I have a grandson, I've got specific things that I want to do to prepare him to follow in my footsteps, to make sure that he's going to be okay. So in the time that I have left, I want to do my best work. I want to do my best work, and that's my promise to him, and that's my promise to you. So I'm going to step back from some other obligations so I can focus on doing what I think I do best. And that is to chronicle our story, our history, and our culture, and to make that information available to the people who matter the most to me, and that's you all. So I'm going to be pouring myself into my work, doing more work than I've ever done before, because these times demand it. For those of you all who've been listening to my show on WPFW for the past 57, 58 weeks, tomorrow's my last show. Tomorrow's my last show because I got other stuff to do, right? I'm going to be off the air with the weekly show, but I'm going to be doing some other things with some other programmers. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a heads up. We did a show on the 12th of December with Brother Kaba and Brother Bobby Rocks, two brothers who have shows on Monday and Friday. The show was titled The Impact of Black Fatherlessness on Black Children. I conceded that show because all three of us, Bobby, Kaba, and myself, were single parents. And I just found my biological father 2.5 years ago. So I know what it's like not to have a father in your life. I know the gap that it leaves in your head and your heart and your soul. And so I wanted to be able to have an opportunity where we could, I feel like moving around. So I wanted to have an opportunity to talk about these issues because they're serious issues. And we make the mistake of not talking about these serious issues because of secrets, right? I shared the story in that interview that I was 47 years old. I had gone back to Chicago. My former high school was honoring me for my work, right? So I come back home, and while I was home visiting my family, my two aunts, my mother's two younger sisters, pulled me inside and said, "Tony, we need to tell you the family secret." What's that? We need to tell you that Harold Browder is not your father. So as soon as they said that, I felt this profound relief, right? Why? Because my mother was 15 when she got pregnant, 16 when I was born. I spent my first 5 years living in my grandparents' household. My mother got married when I was 5, divorced when I was 10. So once she divorced Harold Browder was out of my life. And I felt abandoned by him. I didn't know why I never heard from him on my birthday or for Christmas or graduation. I thought there was something wrong with me. So when my aunts told me Harold Browder's not your father, I felt a sense of relief. I said, I wasn't his. So the things that I was blaming him for were blameless. And then they showed me a picture, a little 1x2 picture of my father when he was 19, living in Chicago. And I looked at that picture and said, damn if I don't look like him. Right? So it took me another, 20-some odd years before I finally found my biological father. And truth be told, it took me having a heart attack to find my father. So even out of something that could potentially be disastrous, wonderful things happen. Perspective is everything, right? It's just hard getting a heart transplant. What? Heart transplant? So, growing up, not knowing my father, whenever I go to a doctor, I can only give 50% of my medical history. I don't know my father. And so, my mother's voice said to me and said, ask that doctor if I might have gotten a bug or an infection or something digging around in, move back so y'all can see me, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm good following stage directions. Okay, I got my eye on the camera, I got you. So, I've been digging in tombs in Egypt for 15 years or so. So my mama said, ask that doctor if I could have picked up a bug or something digging in tombs. So I asked my cardiologist, I said, Doc, is it possible I might have picked up an infection or something digging in the tomb? He said, I hadn't thought about that. He referred me to an infectious disease specialist. She ran a test came back positive for a bacterial infection called brucella, which runs rampant in Egypt. And I had the infection, it had impacted my left ventricle, it had inflamed my left ventricle, which resulted in me developing congestive heart failure with low ejection fraction. Right? So, brucella, I had brucellosis myocarditis, inflammation of the left ventricle, right? And so they put me on 6 weeks of amoxicillin, got rid of the bacteria, and I was good to go. I'm still dealing with some of the chronic after effects of the heart attack, but feel good. I feel good. And so in the process of going through all of this, and the doctors not being able to figure out what was wrong with me, and me only having 50% of my medical history, they also referred me to a genetic cardiologist. So she did the blood test to find out if I was carrying any coronary dispositions that could have impacted me that I might have inherited from my father's side of the family. So that test came back negative. But in the process of doing that test, it prompted me to again think about my father. So I had already done my DNA test through African ancestry. African ancestry in the house, stand up, stand up. African ancestry's in the house. Y'all stand up. Oh, the whole family now. It ain't just one, it's all three of you all. So if you're gonna do your DNA with the African ancestry. So I'd already done my African ancestry DNA, and I knew from the test that my paternal DNA had come from Yoruba, 98% Yoruba. Because I knew the genes that I had from my father that I had inherited. And so I went to the competition, 23andMe, to have them do my DNA since they have such a large database. And in 2 weeks, I got a hit. I got hits from first and second cousins. So I wrote a little email. My name is Tony Browder. I'm looking for my biological father. His name is Willie Dixon. He lived in Chicago. Left Chicago in 1951, blah, 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 blah. And then on a Friday evening, I got an email from my first cousin who said, I know Willie Dixon. And by that Sunday, I spoke to my dad for the first time. Right? Spoke to my dad for the first time. So, you know, everything happens for a reason, right? Oh, I gotta watch the camera, I'm sorry. Everything happens for a reason. And so it's all about attuning yourself to those reasons. Today is NIA. NIA is about purpose. And so our lives have purpose. And it's been said that the 3 most important days in a person's life are the day you were born, the day you realized why you were born, and the most important day is the day that you realize that you've been born before.
Okay.
Huh? Now, in terms of information being hidden from us, we are controlled through the absence, the denial, and the falsification of information. And what I know, not what I think, not what I believe, what I know based on the studies that I've been doing in Egypt for the last 45 years, digging in tombs for 16 years, getting an opportunity to move through spaces that are 2,700 years old, to feel what they felt, to see what they left behind, and to understand why they designed these structures this way, why they carved these items on the wall, why they painted certain things, why they wrote certain things. And again, I'm trained as an artist. I'm an artist at heart. I just happen to have cultivated an interest in history and culture and writing and all these other things, but I'm an artist at heart. And any artist will tell you that artists are sensitive to things in their environment. And when you acknowledge that sensitivity and open yourself to that sensitivity, it connects you to other dimensions of reality.
There it is.
And so being in this space over the course of 16 years, I had developed the capacity to understand why they created all of this and what all of this means. And the essence of Kemetic and Nile Valley and Kushite history and culture is they understood that there is no death. There's only what they refer to as the Rahimi Esu, the repetition of the birth. The body is temporary, but the soul which inhabits the body is eternal. And when a person died, we all have seen these images on a papyrus. There's this thing called the weighing of the soul, where the person's ear, the person's heart is on one side of the balance, and on the other side of the balance is a feather ma'at, and that soul has to declare their innocence by reciting the 42 admonitions of ma'at. And if the soul has been living a righteous life, then the scale balances out. And then that soul goes on to prepare itself for its next incarnation into the next body, where that soul will inhabit that body and experience another life. Rahimi Masu, the repetition of the birth. So life is a continuum. And the greatest trick the devil ever played on you, on us, is to convince you that you were born in sin.
There it is.
Huh?
There it is.
Convince you that you only go around once in life. And then after this life is over, you spend eternity in either hell or heaven. Hell and heaven is right here on earth. Heaven and hell is right here in your mind. So when you know that, when you understand that our soul is eternal, the body is temporary, but the soul is eternal. And when you are conscious of that reality, then you can begin to have conversation with the souls that have inhabited other bodies and know things. And know things. That's what Carter G. Woodson did.
Come on.
He talked about that. He wrote about that. Everybody who's ever lived, and Jeannie can attest to that, everybody who's ever lived is carrying the genetic memory, the genes of everybody in your family going back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. But in 1989, at the third Melanin Conference, which we hosted at Howard University, I had a conversation with Richard King, psychiatrist Richard King, who's one of the founders of the Melanin Conferences, and he said something that blew my mind, that stayed ingrained in my mind. He talked about genes. He talked about the fact that you can clone another person by taking a sample of their genes, from their hair, from their skin, from their mouth, right? But he said what geneticists and what scientists don't talk about is that you also can access, you also carry with you the memories of all the genes that you carry in your body. So imagine that. Imagine if you were able to tap into, to access that ancestral memory. And the truth is, you don't have to imagine. Oh, stand back. Okay. All right, well, give me direction. I follow direction. I'm a black man. I do what black women tell me to do. I ain't crazy. All right, right here is good. This is my spot. Okay, this is my spot. All right. So, I'm saying all that to say, you'll never be taught this information in church. You'll never be taught this information in school. You'll never be taught this information in most social organizations and institutions, but it's information that is older than time itself. When we were home, when we lived in a natural environment, when there was historical and cultural continuity, this information was known regularly and passed down from generation to generation to generation. That's the reason why, if a woman was pregnant, she would go to a reader who would then determine what ancestor she's carrying in her womb. And once they determine who that ancestor is, they know what to name him or her. They know what their interests are going to be, so that they can begin to put them on the track, so that they can accentuate the best that life has to offer in that particular lifetime. Now imagine if you lived in a community where everybody in the community knew that and practiced that. We are our returning ancestors. That's who we are. So the more you know about who you are, the better you can be right now and for all time.
That's right. That's right.
So we got to get rid of the secrets, folks. We got to be honest. Supposedly we tell secrets to protect those we love. Well, hell, you wind up hurting folks.
Yes.
I keep it. I remember I came home from that trip in Chicago and asked my mom. I came into the kitchen. She's sitting down at the kitchen table. Said, "How was Chicago?" I said, "Oh, Chicago was good. Chicago was good. Had a good time." So tell me about the family secret. What family secret? You know, the family secret. Tell me about the family secret. What are you talking about? The family secret. Young man, tell me what. Stop playing. you know, the fact that Harold Browder is not my biological father. And my mother, without missing a beat, said, "Oh, I thought you knew." And when I realized, it took me later, before I really realized what was going on, she was still carrying the shame of being 15 years old, carrying a child and not being married. My mother was a very accomplished person. With all that she had done, oh, you tell me to get back. Okay. Y'all should put an X on the phone or something. That's what they do on television. So, I like doing this. See, I'm having fun. And you can have fun talking about history. You can have fun talking about truth. We need to have fun, right? There's so much stress in the world. There's so much stress in our lives. We need to find ways to talk about important things without stressing people out. So, NIA, purpose. We're all here for a purpose. Every one of you is living a life that was made possible by somebody who loves you. And you're not here by yourself. Right? Know those people. Honor those people. Remember those people. And you're going to pass on those memories to the generations that come. As I said this past Saturday when I was at Union Temple Baptist Church for their Kwanzaa, my philosophy is at this point in my life, is that we have to start thinking 7 generations in the future.
That's right.
That's 150 years.
That's right.
The things that we think, say, and do at this moment will create ripples through time and space, influencing the future for the next 7 generations. That's power.
That's right.
And if you know how much power that is, if you understand how much power you possess, you will not waste your time talking foolishness. You will not waste your time talking about these knuckleheads in the White House and all the stuff that they're doing, stuff that you ain't got no control over. The only thing you ain't got control over is your life. How are you living your life? What can you do to live the best life possible? What can you do to model for some sister and brother in your community how a real man and woman is supposed to live? That's something that you got control over. Don't give your power away. Be true to yourself and be the best you possible, because we don't have time to waste. So I got what? How much more time do I have? Not have time. But let me do this. I wanted to reference a couple of points in the book, and then depending on the time, I may take a few questions, and then we'll break so we can break bread, and have a moment to sign them. I got my books up here, so grab them. Okay. Hey, I'll be 75 in July now. I'll be 75 in July, right? But I don't feel 75, right? Age is up here, right? Age is up here. It is a number. So, I want to read from a couple of passages in the book. So if you all have your book, we're going to read from the Newest Testament, Browder File, Volume 3, page 16. Title of this is 7 Principles Hidden in Ancient African Wisdom. I just want to highlight these 7 principles. Let me watch you. Don't move back. Okay. Invisible X on the floor. I'm going to stand right here. All right. 7 principles hidden in ancient. Thank you, brother. All right. I got my mark now. So, first one, master the foundation. Control your thoughts, control your actions, and your destiny. So if you've ever read Stolen Legacy, Professor James outlines the 10 virtues. And of the 10 virtues, to me, the first 3 are the most important. Control of thought, control of action, and steadfastness. Everything we do is a result of what we think. So we must learn to master our thoughts. Think about George Washington. Think about Carter G. Woodson, who said if you control a person's thinking, you don't have to worry about their actions.
That's right.
So we are responsible We should be responsible for controlling our own thoughts. Control the thoughts, control your action. So when your actions are yielding favorable results, then you want to be steadfast in maintaining those thoughts and those actions. It's simple. Life is not complicated, brothers and sisters. It's really very simple. The second is unlearn everything you think you know. All of us have been miseducated. All of us have been, our heads have been filled with lies in order to make us the perfect slaves to this system that really doesn't care about you, really doesn't care about your humanity. The third point is to resist the urge to convert everyone around you. As I mentioned in the first Browder file, when you're exposed to new information, you get excited.
That's right.
And you want to share this information with family and friends and your mates, and they look at you like you lost your mind. So it's about learning discernment. You can't share everything with everybody. Why? Because that's just how it is. Not everybody is ready to understand who you can share certain information with. And then you build with those people. Don't try to force anybody to do anything that they're not ready to do. The fourth point is understand who you really are and reclaim your African legacy. We've been socialized to hate Africa.
Yes.
Take African people to hate our African selves. That's a socialization process, and it's a sign of insanity. Know who you are, love who you are, and become the best you possible. You're carrying the genes of all your ancestors inside of you. And when you acknowledge them, they can step forward and express themselves through your thoughts, your speech, and your actions. And that's what we're here to do. We're not here to serve ourselves. We are the vessels for our ancestors to work through. And when you know that and are obedient to that reality, you can become an extraordinary person. 5 is to discover the revolutionary power of melanin. I mentioned earlier that we had organized the 3rd annual Melanin Conference in Washington, D.C. in 1989. I just had a conversation this past Sunday with Dr. Tim Moore, who's a psychologist who's teaching down at Atlanta University, and he's getting ready to organize a Melanin Conference in Atlanta the 6th and the 7th of February. He'll be promoting it very soon, and one of the things that he's doing, he called me to inform me that one of the things that he's doing with this conference is that he wants to honor some of the melanin scholars who were around in the 80s. So he reached out to Hunter to see if Hunter can come. He reached out to Ann Brown from New York. She's coming. He talked to Carol Barnes. Carol Barnes is coming. He invited myself and several other people. So that's in the works right now. So keep your eyes open, your ears open, and you'll be hearing more about this upcoming event in Atlanta on the 6th and 7th of February. So we need to understand what this thing is. It's more than just your pigment in the skin. It's as Richard King would say, it's a doorway to the unconscious. It's your connection with the unseen. 6 is to attune yourself to nature and universal rhythms. You all heard me on Najee's show this past Saturday. I was talking about the solstice. I was talking about the significance of aligning yourself to certain things that are happening in the cosmos so that you can be in tune with the Creator, right? And accentuate everything, all of the powers that are available to you when you are obedient to the cosmos. That's very important. 7 is manifest your creative potential before you lose it. There's this old saying, either you use it or you lose it. You got all of this dynamic potential, but if you're not reading, if you're not studying, if you're not treating your body right, if you're not thinking right, if you're not associating with the right people, you're wasting air. You're wasting precious time. And I'm sure all of us would agree that we're on the brink of worldwide disaster, catastrophe, with these knuckleheads in the White House. Playtime is over, sisters and brothers. I can't overemphasize that fact. and you are responsible for saving your life. You are responsible. So if you understand that, you got to start eating right. You got to start thinking right. You have to start associating with people who are doing right and build with them. If folk don't understand it, that's all right. That's on them. Maybe they'll get it in the next lifetime, or the one after that, or the one after that. But you got to do you, and do you for all the right reasons. The other essay I want to reference is on page 64, and it speaks to the work that I had done with Egypt on the Potomac. You know, I've been at this a long time, and time does fly. Our Egypt on the Potomac field trip will be 40 years old next year. 40 years old. And I'm finally at the point now where I'm old enough to realize that I'm just now really beginning to understand what I thought I knew. Right? I know a lot, right? And I thought I knew a lot, but now that I'm older, I'm beginning to see things from a different perspective. And the things that I thought I knew, I realized, oh, I should have been looking at it this way instead of that way. And now I see what's been there all along. So one of the benefits of being an elder is to be able to look back on your life, to gain insight, and then to be able to share what you've learned, share what you know with people worthy of you sharing your information with. So this chapter is called How Our Ancestors Buried the Keys to Our Liberation in Plain Sight. And it's really looks on the essence of what Egypt on the Potomac is all about. When I first created that field trip in 1986, I mistakenly thought that EC was created by white Masons who were just enamored with Nile Valley Kemetic culture and civilization, and they replicated that into what is now the capital of the wealthiest and most powerful nation in human history. I was given credit where credit was not due. As a result of the work that I was doing in Egypt, excavating these tombs, I've come across some material which I'm going to be writing about in future publications. I've come across some material which leads me to understand that there were Africans in the 25th dynasty who saw all of this coming, who saw the fall of the Nile Valley, who saw the fall of Africa, who saw the world being turned upside down. And so they made decisions to parcel up specific pieces of information which they understood was too powerful to allow to fall into the hands of the coming invaders. And they dispatched this information to the Niger River Valley, to West Africa, in 6 different migrations. There's a book written by a protege of Sheikh Anta, a brother by the name of Abubakar Lam. That book is called Paths from the Nile. And he documents the migration of African people, African scholars, scientists, astronomers, healers, who took pieces of this information that had held the Nile Valley together and took it to Ghana, took another piece to Senegal, took another piece to the Cameroon, took another piece to Nigeria, took another piece to Mali. And these seeds of knowledge helped to jumpstart culture and civilization there. And it's my thinking, it's my feeling that if these priests and priestesses had enough foresight to see what was happening in the Nile Valley and decide to send that information to the Niger River Valley so that it could survive for the next 5 to 1,000 years, then they had to have had enough foresight to see the Ma'afa. And they had to have known that those Africans in West Africa would be taken further west and would be trafficked and taken throughout North America and South America and every island in the Caribbean. They had to have known that that information, which was encoded in their DNA, would lie dormant, buried in their subconscious until the proper moment came.
That's right.
And when that moment came, then they had to be ready to dig it up. So the analogy that I made to what I envision is that final scene, that final battle in Sinners, where Smoke is about to smoke the KKK.
Yeah.
All right? And so what did he do? He buried his Tommy gun
Yep.
in the sand, in the dirt. And after he picked off the main guys with his sniper rifle, he then rushed up, dug up that Tommy gun, pulled that weapon out, and wiped everybody else out. So symbolically, metaphorically, to reevaluate now is that the Washington Monument may have been built by Masons.
That's right. That's right.
But as you know, if you've taken the field trip, if you go inside of the monument, you see this Heru Badet, which means that somebody in that group left that symbol that told us it's really about Asar, Aset, and Aru. It's really about us. It ain't about George, it's about you.
That's right.
So the symbols are there waiting for a mind that is properly prepared to realize what's there, what has been left for us. Dig that weapon up and then use that to free yourself. So this chapter explores this process, and it talks about 5 phases. The first phase is the seeding. The seeding in ancient Kemet, where certain information was planted in our consciousness, planted in our DNA. The second phase is the concealment, when the Greeks and the Romans came in and erased a lot of this history, when it was appropriated by others and buried. The third phase is the forgetting, the ma'afa, the erasure, right? They thought they were making things safe for them by erasing our memory. But if any of you all have ever had a hard drive crash, if you had your hard drive crash and you take it to one of these facilities where they have a clean room, they can restore much of that data. And what I found out the last time my hard drive crashed, and I talked to the tech that restored my drive, he said, well, nothing is ever erased. What is erased is the address that allows you to access the information, but the information is always there.
Right.
All right? So while folks thought they were erasing our memory and telling us that we were nothing, it's still there, buried in your subconscious. And all you have to do is do the work necessary to trigger those memories, and they will come flooding back into your consciousness. Phase 4 is the awakening. The awakening, right? To allow these memories to come forth by acknowledging your ancestors, pouring libation, setting up an altar in your home, kneeling before those ancestors. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be back here. Kneeling before those ancestors and letting them know that you are remembering them, that you are the vessel through which they would do their best work. And when you do that from the heart, miraculous things will happen in your life. And then the 5th phase is the reclamation, right now. 5th phase is happening right now, today. So my thing has been, there's been a lot of talk about reparations. Let me be honest, white men ain't giving y'all nothing. This country is broke. He ain't giving you nothing. He'll give it to foreigners before he gives it to you. We've been seeing that. Billions of dollars. You got to give it to yourself. You have to repair what they broke. Repair your mind. Restore your memory. And once you've done those things, you then become the best vehicle possible for the ancestors to work through, and then we change everything. So in this time of madness and fear-mongering about AI, let me just tell you, in Time magazine, a couple of weeks ago, named AI as the person of the year, right? White people are crazy. They're crazy. So but what I want you to know is, from an African-centered perspective, AI is the person for every year. AI is ancestral intelligence.
There it is.
And when you understand who you are and what you are, and are courageous enough to open the door to your heart, to invite your ancestors into your soul, you will tap into a power source, a knowledge source, an inexhaustible knowledge source that will allow you to become the best you possible. That's our secret sauce. That's our superpower. And so our enemy has done everything within their power to make us fear the ancestors. Oh, that's voodoo. Oh, that's evil. Oh, that's demonic. They're supposed to say that.
Yes.
Why? Because they know if you ever embrace your real self, game over.
Yeah.
So they are doing everything that they're supposed to do to hold on to power until it's finally taken away from them. So don't get mad at them for doing what they're supposed to do. That's who they are. Know who you are and become your authentic self. And so the last piece I want to reference is maybe the best piece. It's page 92. It's titled The Incomparable Ryan Coogler. So for those of you all who know me, you know that I like films. I like good movies, and I like analyzing films. I saw somebody say, yeah, I saw you when you did your Avatar lecture or your National Treasure lecture, right? I like breaking down films because I like how writers think and how directors put films together. It just really appeals to me. And I dug Sinners. I think it's Ryan Coogler's best film. I think it's one of the best movies of the year. And I must have seen it at least a dozen times, right? It's a phenomenal film. So I wrote 2 essays in this book talking about Ryan Coogler, talking about Sinners, and how I think Sinners is a film made for these times.
Yeah.
To let us know who we are and what we carry within us. And the best scene I've seen in any movie ever is where Sammy has his debut in the juke joint and starts performing, and the ancestors come down.
Yep.
I ain't never seen anything like that in any movie before, and I knew then that Ryan Coogler is plugged in. He knows what's happening. So long story short, right? Long story short, somebody said, Tony, send me a copy of that essay, and I'll make sure Ryan Coogler gets it, right? And I got a phone call this morning. Ryan read that essay, and he had 2 things to say. Reading it brought him to tears, and that these 2 paragraphs that I want to share with you messed him up. He didn't say messed you up, he said something else, but I ain't gonna say that, got you. And I want to share this with you because it speaks to what time it is, right? On page 97, the 2nd and 3rd paragraph, page 97. Every film Coogler makes is a dialogue between past and present, myth and memory, pain and purpose. In his work, I see the continuation of a tradition as old as the griots of West Africa. Watching Sinners, I saw a reflection of my own creative philosophy. Coogler evokes ancestors with every frame he shoots. He teaches us that memory is power, that imagination is resistance, and that love for family, for heritage, for truth is the ultimate act of rebellion. In that sense, Ryan Coogler is not just a filmmaker. He's a Jegna, a cultural warrior who defends his people through his art. Coogler uses film the way I use history, as a mirror for the collective soul of our people. He constructs worlds where African brilliance is the norm, not the exception, where Black life is sacred, complex, and endlessly creative. His storytelling is both ancestral and futuristic. He reminds us that our roots and our wings are one and the same. Right? So look, I want y'all to realize the world is shifting. Things will never be as they were last year. So what world do you want to create? You create your world based on what you think, based on what you know. And next year, February the 7th, is the 100th anniversary of Dr. Carter G. Woodson's founding Negro History Week. 100 years, right? So we have an opportunity now as we celebrate this man, to celebrate the best in ourselves, to celebrate all of the ancestors that we carry in us, because they're waiting for this moment. They're waiting on you to wake up and to get serious and bring the best you forward. So I want to close with this, and this is poem Transition 14, which is an enhanced version of Transition 13, which I wrote in my first Browder file. So I'm just building on that. I'm just adding on that, because I'm not the same person now that I was 37 years ago. I've grown. I will continue to grow until the day that I die, and I will grow even more after that. So Transition 14 says, in the beginning, our ancestors knew not, and they studied. For 4,000 years, they learned all there was to know, and they taught others. For 1,000 years, they spread their wisdom from the Nile to the Niger. Then came the Ma'afa, the great disaster. Enslavers made it illegal for Africans to read and write. They were forced to forget all they had learned and taught. They built America, from the Hudson to the Potomac to the Mississippi and beyond. And after 400 years of forgetting, they forgot that they had forgotten. But that changes today. I will remember for them. I will read for them. I will write for them. I will speak for them and teach for them. I will make certain that they are never forgotten again, for I am the vessel through which my ancestors live, breathe, speak, and do their best work. I say. Thank you. So I'm waiting for Brother Najee to come back. And he's going to tell us what the next steps are. But again, I'm so glad that you all are here. I'm so glad that the house is full. And I really want you all to... Okay. You just come on up to the camera. I really want you all to have a really productive new year. 2026 is a year where we can change everything. And it's on you. You start this new year with a new consciousness, right? You should be reading every day. As Ray Winbush said, you should be reading at least 15 minutes a day. Your children should be reading along with you. You should be having discussions in your home about what you've read. And you should be working with other readers to determine what you're going to do collectively. That's something that you can do right now. You don't have to ask anybody's permission. You can do it in your home, in your barbershop. You hear that, Jabari? You can do it in your barbershop, right? You can do it in your beauty shop. You can do it wherever you gather, and make that your priority. We've got to teach each other. They're closing down the Department of Education. Yep. We're being educated anyway, but we've got to step up and assume responsibility for re-educating the next generation. Najee, yeah. What happens next? I'm done.
Hold on. Tony done.
All right. So yes, sister had a question. What's your question?
I do genealogy research, and
Now, I'll hold the microphone. I'll be like Oprah. Let me have a question.
well, you just affirmed everything that I was thinking when I did my studies and findings, because I went back, we've gone back as far as 1700s, but I noticed that there are similar birth dates in my family through the generations. And I found about 2 years ago, my uncle had a daughter he didn't know about, but I found her in the connection for ancestry. And she has 2 sons, and her 2 sons share.
The traditions was that when a prince was born, he was named after his grandfather. because it was assumed that that was the spirit of that grandfather that is returned in their son. And their philosophy is that people incarnate in the same family line, right? And so there are different interpretations of this reality. And in the Bonfu Some's book, Intimacy of the Spirit, she talks about the Dagara people in Burkina Faso and the rituals that they have in order to assess the returning spirit that a woman is carrying in her womb. So within traditional African society, there's always been this knowledge, not belief, this knowledge that ancestors come back, right? And that we are our living ancestors. Brother James Small talks about that a lot. So what are we doing, Nati?
Definitely want to thank Brother Tony first. Really good up to Brother Tony, right? This is the Gina page. You come in? So what we have, we have the books selling over there. You can buy them. We're gonna have a table set up with Brother Tony. Then you can get your book signed. Food I think people ask if the food was for purchase. No, the food is not for purchase. If you're vegan, we got a lot of options for you, you know. You go in your line, and this is the Gina page from African and. Huh? Come on, through that.
Is that other mic working?
Well, he doesn't want to follow the list of things. All right, first, we have to thank Papa Tony. We appreciate you coming out to celebrate Kwanzaa with us. All right, second, everyone's place is very grateful that you came to celebrate Kwanzaa with us. And we hope that today helps you reflect on your NIA and purpose for 2026. Let's see. We also hope you will participate in our Karamu, our feast. A few things people have asked. Yes, of course it's free, it's Kwanzaa. Also, someone has asked, can they leave a tip? No, it's Kwanzaa. So everybody gets rice, peas, veggies, and plantain, and then you have a choice for your protein. Vegan, we have curry chickpeas, brown stew yuba, and veggie lemon chicken, I can find it right. Non-veggie, you choose between curry chicken or jerk chicken. So start thinking about which one for your protein. We also have vegan cookies. And then we have Zawadi. So all children that may still be here can choose a book. We have a box of children's books that they can select from. Unfortunately, we don't have enough Zawadi for all adults, but because you all got here before me and I could not low-tech put the gifts for you all, we're gonna use I used the random number generator based off of when you registered, and then you could just choose one of the 20 that we have over there. Let's see. Oh, so we'll have 2 lines going, one for the food and book signing, one for the like buying books and book signing, and the other one for the food. We hope for the food that you'll allow elders and anybody with mobility issues to go first. Now, for the Zawadi. Number 1 was 51, Olga Lloyd. Okay, great. Number 2 is 45, Ronald Wilson. Number 3 was 188, Junius Wilson. Number 4 was 148, Ahadi Pure. Number 5 was 60, Joseph Garner. Number 6. Number 6 was 95, Camille Winkler. Number 7 was 98, Carlos Jackson. Number 8 was 70, Imhotep Simba. Number 9 is 134, Bernice. Number 10 is 121, what? Can you hear me louder? Okay. Number 10 is 121, AJ Johnson. Number 11 is 109, Elliot Bishop. Number 12 tried to be Camille Winkler again, but no, Andre Bunley. Number 13 is 106, Corey Robinson. Number 19 Michelle Gilmer. Number 15 is 105, Nicole Stokes. Number 16 is 8, Lima Walker. Number 17 is 196, Benjamin Juice. Number 18, Paris Gas. Number 19, Vardy. And number 20, Malik Muhammad. Again, thank you all. Hope you all enjoy some food, etc.
All right, I need y'all to be quiet for a minute. Be quiet for a minute. If I can have your attention, please. If I can have, I go. I go. The next voice you hear will be that of Dr. Gina Page of AfricanAncestry.com.
Thank you. I know you all are ready to get your book signed and to get some food, but I was asked to give you a few words about AfricanAncestry.com. So I'll tell you that we are the pioneers of genetic ancestry tracing for Black people around the world. 23 years ago, I co-founded the company with geneticist Dr. Rick Kittles. We use DNA to tell you where exactly in Africa you're from. Our mission is to help Black people transform the way we view ourselves, to remember who we are, and to view Africa differently. And we do that through DNA testing. One of the things that makes us different from any other DNA test you've ever heard of, all of which came after us, is that we don't sell or share our customers' DNA. We provide a present-day African country and ethnic group. So we don't say you're some percentage this or that. We tell you you share ancestry like Tony with the Yoruba people living in Nigeria today. And then, yeah, I think that's it. So we are AfricanAncestry.com. You can go online and check us out. We have a Kwanzaa special going on right now where our tests are 15% off. And I'll be in the back if you have any questions. Thank you.
Silent echoes, voices soft as the wind in the savannah, whispers from the roots of the ancient baobab. They are the heartbeat within the modern drum, the silent guiding strength in every step we take. They walk with us, the mothers of the soil, the warriors whose courage knew no shackles, bearing the pain, yet dancing with the dawn, a legacy of iron, forged in endurance. In the scent of the rain on red earth, in the stories passed around the twilight fire, they are never truly gone, only hidden, a watchful, gentle force within our blood. We rise from the foundation they laid, the dream of the shackled made manifest, carrying the stories, the songs, the sacred trust, honoring the ancestors, the keepers of our soul.